This is my Nerf grappling hook mod, and in this video I'm going to show you how to do it for your blaster, and we're also going to test it out to see if it actually works. But first, let's talk about how we got here. People who've been watching my stuff for a long time know that I've built weird Nerf darts before, including this abomination, and while I've always kind of focused on making changes to just the dart itself, because this is a low effort channel and I'm being very generous with that term, I always had this thought in the back of my mind that if I spend a couple of days actually designing stuff and not playing Hentai Girls Ultra Extended for the Nintendo Switch, yes, that's a real game, I could potentially make a functional grappling hook mod for Nerf blasters and come one step closer to my dream of becoming a middle-aged man in spandex who hasn't yet discovered the concept of cough lozenges. And that's exactly what I wanted to do for this video. I started looking for information on the internet and found that most grappling hooks in cartoon shows and movies usually have a projectile with a claw at the end with some string attached to it that the user can use to either pull themselves up or pull items attached to the hook towards them. Okay, now that we understand what we need to do, let's start with the most important part of the build. A nutritious breakfast of a farm fresh Kinder egg straight out of a chicken's butthole. Good. Now let's get started with the design of the grappling hook. After a couple of failed designs that would make you question the legitimacy of my definitely real engineering degree, I came up with this. It's wide enough that it works with a lot of daily use household items like this homemade fleshlight and my limited edition copy of Captain Underpants, but it's also small enough and most importantly light enough that even a shitty bottom of the barrel Nerf blaster can shoot it easily. By the way, just being light isn't enough for this to be a usable grappling hook design. There's one other major issue that I hadn't accounted for at this point, and maybe some of you must have figured it out, but we'll get to that in a bit. But for now, at least we have our grappling hook, which kinda looks like a Dark Souls 3 edition tampon if you're an adventurous woman. Sorry, I meant adventurous ketchup producing individual, since other genders can have periods too, it's 2024. But anyway, now we can move on to the next part, which is the reeling mechanism. But before we do that, I would like to take a second to thank my sponsor for this video, PCBWay. If you guys want to build something, whether it's electronics, mechanical components, 3D printing, CNC, whatever you could possibly need, these guys can help. How do I know that? Well, a couple of videos ago I was trying to build a Tic Tac blaster and I just couldn't get it refined enough with my home printer. PCBWay stepped in to help and hooked me up with some amazing clear resin prints for my blaster and saved the day. They're also celebrating their 10-year anniversary right now, so it's the perfect time to check them out at the link in the description. Now back to the video. Since this is not going to be a Bluetooth grappling hook, the dart is in fact going to have a string attached to it coming out of the foam end of the dart, and when we shoot it, it's going to take a sizable length of string along with it, and we need something to reel back the string and consequently pull back whatever object the grappling hook is attached to. I just realized that what we're building is basically a glorified Fisher-Price fishing rod set. Anyway, let's not think too deeply about that right now. I'm so fucked. I wanted to make the reeling mechanism as simple as possible, so I designed this reeling box thing, which is just a 3D printed spool with a handle in a 3D printed box that attaches to the side of the blaster like this. At this point, I was a couple of days ahead of schedule for this video and I felt like I was doing great. I was playing Hentai Girls Ultra Extended Edition, eating desiccant packets by the handful, and just enjoying life. Until I tested the hook with the reeling mechanism and it did the Nerf equivalent of a North Korean missile launch. I found out that it takes a lot of energy to overcome the resistance of unspooling the string when I shoot the grappling hook, sometimes so much so that the hook would abruptly stop just a couple of feet away from me. Now if you're a T-Rex, this still might seem like a useful contraption to you, but since 94% of my audience is human according to YouTube, this is a massive fucking failure and I need to fix this shit. It doesn't matter how light the dart is because the spooling issue is a much bigger factor for the range of the blaster. To counter this, I could have done one of two things. Option 1 was to not use the spool at all and just let the string dangle and delete all of the comments calling me out for my shitty design, as I usually do. I tried it, it looked really bad, and I kept tripping over the string and bonking my head on stuff, and now I've got a Philips air fryer shaped dent in my head and I can't seem to remember my last name. Good option overall, I would say. Option 2 was to say fuck you to having nice tight tolerances and make the spool narrower, and also Also, instead of having a built-in handle, making it a lock and key kind of a design where you can attach the handle when you want to crank it like Soldier Boy or whatever kids say these days, and remove it when you're shooting the hook, thus reducing overall resistance and fixing your blaster's erectile dysfunction. I chose the second option if it wasn't exactly clear for some of my glue sniffing viewers. Also, since the spooling action looks extremely sus if my hands aren't visible, or so I've been told by innocent bystanders, and also because I'm lazy, I wanted to automate that process, so I circumcised this cheap PC fan from my wind tunnel video and attached it to this holder thing I made, which just clips onto the spool box like this, and then you can turn the fan on and it winds the string electronically. Electronically? Why did I have to say that like a boomer? Anyway, I made some final changes, by which I just mean that I printed this holder plate for everything and stuck it onto the side of the blaster. And yeah, that's about it. We're done. This is how the final product looks. And before we test it out, I just want to say that all of the 3D print files for this are available on my Patreon. So if you want to make your own grappling hook Nerf blaster and financially support this gender fluid mango, consider becoming a patron. Links in the description. Now let's test it out. I feel like because I'm using this shitty low torque PC fan motor, I'm not able to pull a lot of stuff with it and have to resort to cranking vigorously, which is something I do every day anyway, but that's not the point. My point is, this design can be expanded upon and made much better with a stronger motor from like an RC crawler or something. That's where you guys come in. I'd like to see someone with more IQ than fingers take this design and make it better, so go check out my Patreon. There's lots of free stuff there too, including my past Nerf project files. Before we end the video, just an extra update. My next project is gonna be another kit, and I'm sure a lot of my kit-loving viewers are absolutely gonna love it. I said kit, K-I-T, kit-loving, not kid-loving, for fuck's sake. Anyway, my viewers who happen to be interested in DIY kits are hopefully gonna love that one. So stay tuned for that and consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss out on that. And a special thanks to my patrons for supporting the channel and allowing me to bet on illegal cockfights with their hard-earned money. As for other stuff, I highly recommend watching this video next. I think you're gonna like it. See you later. Bye.
You and I, we are so random. You bring the darkness to the light, split the atom. I ignore the fact that this will never last.